Support for Jalen and Jacoby comes from Blue Apron. Blue Apron delivers farm-fresh, perfectly portioned ingredients and step-by-step recipes so you can make incredible meals at home. Rediscover how fun cooking can be while reducing food waste and supporting sustainable farms and fisheries. Visit blueapron.com/Jalen to get your first 3 meals, a $30 value, free with free shipping.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, bro?
I am David Jacoby, and we
on the cool
are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What do we do?
We get the people.
Yes. Wow.
What they want.
Let's give the people what they want, Mr. Rose. At the beginning of the season, we set every team's expectations. And going into the season, what do you think the Oklahoma City Thunder's expectations were?
Make the playoffs, hope to advance past the first round, have Russell Westbrook become an elite player in today's game after losing a former MVP in Kevin Durant, as well as Serge Ibaka, who's been a productive player for the Toronto Raptors.
Obviously, the Thunder lost to the Rockets, ending their season. David Aldridge reported that Russell Westbrook had his head in his towel and was crying in the Oklahoma City locker room. Why do you think Westbrook was so emotionally affected by this?
Because he put his all into it. And the one thing I appreciate about sports is it allows you to have multiple emotions, and how you deal with those emotions also can become something that you apply as a life skill. And the way he played this year, he left it all out there on the floor. We all know about the statistics. The first guy to average a triple-double since the Big O, set a record for most 50-point triple-doubles. An all-star, possibly going to be an MVP.
Is the MVP.
Multiple triple-doubles in a series versus the Rockets. I could go on and on about statistics. But the thing that people love about Russell Westbrook's game, and a trait that I saw multiple years ago when people were criticizing his game, is he plays with a rage. He plays with a ferocity. And that energy should be contagious to your teammates. The problem is his teammates just aren't as talented, and a lot of them have a lot of weaknesses in their game. For example, Cantor's a really good scorer, but he can't guard a graveyard.
Can't guard anybody.
Roberson is a really good defender, but he's the worst perimeter free throw shooter I've ever seen in the NBA. Adams, $100 million contract. You hope that he's going to get you a double-double every night and actually lead the team in rebounds so your point guard doesn't have to do it. And Oladipo, when I saw him in college, a really talented player, an All-American at Indiana, I felt that his athleticism and his aggression would continue to translate. And I saw flashes of it in Orlando, and I saw flashes of it with OKC. But I'm going to need him to be a little more consistent, a lot more aggressive, and more importantly, more productive. So their roster does have holes in it, but at the same time, when you're led by Russell Westbrook playing the way he played all season, it catapults you into a playoff run.
And that's the thing, is if you are Sam Presti in the front office, you're watching those games and everybody can see it, even casual fans. Russell Westbrook needs help. The problem is all those players that you mentioned are making more than $18 million, and they're all locked up for the next couple of years. Adams, Oladipo, Cantor, Westbrook. When they have that much money committed, what can they do in the offseason to get Westbrook more help?
You said Sam Presti, right?
Yep.
Okay, he's one of the best in the game. He's the guy that actually drafted KD, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook.
Andy Ibaka.
He's a guy that actually crafted a team around Russell, brought in Billy Donovan, who should give a lot of credit for having a system that has allowed Russell to flourish without KD, put him in position to be the caliber player that he is, put the team in position, regardless of the losses and the people that they don't have on the team anymore, to still make a playoff run. So I'm not worried at all about him being able to maneuver a roster into one that continue to improve.
When I saw this on the television screen, I immediately had that feeling, I need to talk to Jalen about this. It was Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook going face-to-face, Beverley trying to antagonize, Westbrook being completely stone-faced and silent, not wanting to get attacked or not wanting to escalate it because he knows everyone's watching. He says one thing and one thing only. He looks right at Patrick Beverley and says, your mom. Just saying, your mom. Soft move or boss move?
Boss move.
I love it.
Because I'm trying to get maximum effect with ultimate sarcasm. I ain't got the energy. You see these dudes I play with? You like the ninth leading scorer on your team. And you jumping all up in my face, guarding me 94 feet. And I appreciate the fact that Patrick Beverley improved his offensive game, and I love his toughness. But Russell Westbrook has so many responsibilities on his team. He's standing there holding his shorts like, man, if you don't get out of my face.
Can we just get on with the game? I don't have energy to even speak to you about this.
You got James Harden.
I got to get all the rebounds.
The MVP conversation.
I got to get all the assists. I got to get all the points. I can't give all the insults, too. Sorry, Patrick Beverley.
No doubt. You guys got Lou Williams out here shooting for 35 feet, who the Lakers just gave him away. Trevor Ariza out here guarding me, and he a small forward. Nene looking like Wilt Chamberlain in game 4. Capella dunking all over people.
And then you got this, and then you got the owner playing defense, working the referee. The owner getting up from his seat, waddling over to the referee to get into his ear. What did you think when you saw that?
Soft move. He's going to get a big-time fine from the NBA. You got to recall something. There is an owner to every team, and there's a certain level of decorum you must have while you're at the basketball game. And the adage of, I was too excited, so therefore I got into the referee's ear, that's just unacceptable because fans, in particular those who probably are betting on the game, could be wondering, did that influence some calls? And so you got to be really careful when you walk down that slippery slope. But again, the better basketball team won. Mm-hmm. Eric Gordon was making threes. He did a terrific dunk over the top. Ryan Anderson continues to spread the defense. They just had a lot more weapons to throw at the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's why they're advancing.
Yep.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
The Spurs took out the Grizzlies in San Antonio in Game 5. And with the Rockets already done with their series and waiting, how important is it that the Spurs finish this series in Game 6?
It's extremely important, especially since they have a 3-2 lead. They have Kawhi Leonard playing at an astronomical level. Tony Parker's clearly getting up there in age. They're still relying on an older player like Manu Ginobili to play quality minutes. Pau Gasol falls into that category also. When you have an older group, it's important to try to end series as fast as possible. Now that you're ahead 3-2 and you're going on the road, you're going to need a couple of players in particular to show up. I'm looking for LaMarcus Aldridge, Patty Mills, and Green. Those 3 players, if they show up, the Spurs close out the series in the next game.
Here's what I want to talk about with the Spurs. There's a rumor, there's a report, there's a picture that Greg Popovich went to a restaurant in Memphis. The total bill was about $815. Probably wasn't alone, probably had some people with him. I know he loves wine. I'm sure some wine was flowing. With that $815 bill, he tipped $5,000. Jalen, you are far and away the person that tips more than anyone else I know in my whole entire life. You tip everybody you see. The guy that opens the door for us gets 20. The guy gets 20. Everybody gets 20. You don't even check your coach check person. $20. But is $5,000 too much to tip?
It isn't.
It is. It is.
I'm going to tell you why. Because sometimes, in particular as a public figure, you never know. They could have gave him some discount on his bill, a bottle of wine that probably was $1,000. They probably gave it to him for $500.
You think maybe this is hush money? You think this is hush money? You think maybe he did something at the restaurant he didn't want to get out, so he put an extra $5,000 on it?
He probably was with people who were high maintenance. You ever go out to dinner sometime or at a restaurant and the people that you with are high maintenance?
Oh, I like this, the apology tip. I like that. I like
no
that.
doubt about it.
So there is some reasoning to it. I always put myself in the person's shoes that gets the $5,000. Like, I would feel a little weird about it. You know what I mean? They'd be like, why? No, like, it's just a lot of money for someone just to bestow on you for no apparent reason. But I never really thought about the experience the way you did. But that does make sense if they gave you a bunch of free stuff and you had people at your table that were embarrassing with the way they were treating the staff. Then I could see that there's a lot of other reasons it could be a $5,000 tip besides just hush money. But here's what I like to think about as well. They're going back to Memphis for Game 6. So imagine Greg Popovich now walks into your restaurant. Because everybody that works at restaurants in Memphis knows that Greg Popovich is tipping. Just imagine the fight to have him sit in your section between the waitstaff. I can't wait to see the manager's look when Greg Popovich walks in. He's going to be taken care of before Game 6 if he goes out.
No, he's going back for the closeout game, and he knows what you know. It's room service that night.
I think so. And then we have Game 5 between the Jazz and the Clippers.
We got the Jazz.
This game
we disagreed
was
on this series, didn't we?
This game was weird, Jalen. It was 55-52 for like an hour and a half. No one could make any buckets in the third quarter. It was ugly. It was choppy. It was chippy. It was just like a weird game. And ultimately, the Jazz won. I mean, they won pretty handily. Joe Johnson hit a dagger, and they cut to Steve Ballmer. And it was just a very strange game. What did you take away from it?
That the Utah Jazz have more productive players that they can rely on consistently. Yep. That's what it's going to take in the playoffs because you have to be able to play different styles. So you look in their backcourt, you say, wow, they have Gordon Hayward. He's an all-star. You look up front. ISO Joe's a seasoned vet. He gets buckets with the best of them. Mm-hmm. Plus, he's a clutch performer that is usually either too tall for the person that's sticking him or too versatile for the guy that's guarding him. So therefore, since he scores from all levels, he usually is able to get his shot off. And Rudy Gobert, the anchor down low, scoring, blocking shots, getting boards. When you watch the Clippers play, there's a real weakness at the forward spot. They already needed a three. While I like the hustle of Bamute, but he's not a guy that's going to score 20 points. No, but he does play defense. And then you don't have Blake Griffin, who's your best player at the power forward spot. DeAndre Jordan, while he's going to catch lobs and get putbacks, he's not going to post up a point guard if they were on him. So now it all falls to Chris Paul to make plays for himself and teammates. Can Jamal Crawford get hot? Austin Rivers came back from injury. It was good to see J.J. Redick make shots. Yep. But the Utah Jazz, like I told you, are going to close this series out.
They had a lineup where they had Brandon Bass playing center. And I was just like, now he's just reaching. Like, Doc Rivers is just reaching at this point. Like, I got to get something that works. You know, I was very curious about how Gordon Hayward got food poisoning, and he missed Game 4. Well, there's more information. Gordon Hayward said that he got it from a sandwich. He won't say from where, but he won't go back. And that had me thinking, what kind of sandwich do you think it was? Because I have a prime suspect.
Well, as somebody that doesn't like much cold food or raw food, probably sushi.
Okay, sushi is not a sandwich.
So, I know, but still.
Okay, but still, I'm going to say it was a chicken salad sandwich. I'm almost positive. Because sometimes when you look at a chicken salad sandwich behind the deli thing, you can tell that no one's ordered chicken salad for a long time. It's got that mayonnaise glaze on the top. I can almost guarantee someone talked to Gordon Hayward before Game 6 and confirmed this, that it was a chicken salad sandwich. If the Jazz close out the Clippers, there's a lot of talk about what will happen in the offseason. And you picked a certain landing place for Chris Paul that I did not think of that makes a lot of sense. I'd like you to tell the people again, just something that you threw out there that I kind of looked up and makes a lot of sense.
Go Spurs, go!
Why do you think Chris Paul could end up in the silver and black?
So here's the dichotomy that Chris Paul is going to have to juggle this summer. He loves being in Los Angeles, coached by Doc Rivers. He also loves playing for a team that's going to perennially make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. However, in order for him to win a championship, it's not going to happen with the Clippers.
Nope.
So here's the choice. Stay in L.A., get top dollar, and hope that we're able to lure an all-star caliber player, for example, a Paul George to town, though he's still under contract with the Indiana Pacers next year. Or go to San Antonio and run with Kawhi on a 60-win team that has Tony Parker starting at the point.
Go.
Who has their backup point guard, Patty Mills, is going to be a free agent. Danny Green in the backcourt, they can upgrade that. How about this? He and J.J. Redick can both might as well go.
Oh. Remember where you heard it first.
Now that will be a power move, and that's going to be a decision in particular for Chris Paul to decide. Stay in L.A., get my bread, make the playoffs, get my numbers, or go to San Antonio and be a game changer, playing with Kawhi Leonard or Coach Pop. That would be something to see.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Your man, the Kanye West of college football, keeps his name on everybody's tongue, Jim Harbaugh. Do you know who he's with? Do you know who he was kicking it with today in Italy? The Pope. The Pope has time for Jim Harbaugh, and Jim Harbaugh bestowed onto the Pope a Michigan football helmet, but more importantly, a custom pair of blue and maize Jordans. My question for you, do you think at some point, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, when all of his papal duties are over, he slips on those blue and maize Jordan 5s?
He won't slip them on.
Oh, come on.
He won't slip them on.
He won't put them on?
I don't think so.
Come on, maybe who does? Maybe one of his Pope assistants gets the box. Who ends up wearing those Jordans?
I think they've become more ceremonial than actual. And also, usually in those cases, they may not be a size.
They might not be a size. I was thinking that too. I wonder if they reached out ahead of time or they just looked at pictures and kind of guessed his height. But after the Pope now has a Michigan football helmet and brand Jordan Michigan color 5s, this guarantees a national championship this year, right?
I'm not guaranteeing a national championship.
I mean, but the Pope has a Michigan helmet. He doesn't have an Alabama helmet, as far as I know.
I'm guaranteeing that we're going to be in the BCS Final Four.
Ooh.
And at that point, depending on how our squad looks, in particular at the quarterback position, how we replace Jabril Peppers on defense, then I'll decide if we're going to win it all.
We don't force football stories on this show, but Marshawn Lynch is going to play for the Raiders if he passes a physical. I'm worried about Marshawn Lynch. Like, this concerns me. I love Marshawn Lynch. I'm not happy about him coming back to the league. Do you feel the same way I do about this?
I do, and it's unique that on our program, we're the only individuals that see it this way. Let me tell you something about being a professional athlete. And I love Marshawn Lynch. I actually got his number in my phone. And you know how I feel about people who I got in my phone.
No one else exists.
When you retire from the game, it's for a reason. And once you miss an entire year, there is going to be a residual effect. And I know there are people that's going to say, well, what's the difference between retiring and having a season-ending injury because he didn't take any hits last year? I'm going to tell you the difference. He wasn't training for football, doing rehab all year. Nope. He was enjoying retirement. And there were multiple days, the last 12 months, he woke up and he wasn't thinking about football. And he does play the running back position. And I love Oakland. Detroiters and Oakland have a kinship like not too many other cities across this country have. But when you talk about him coming back to play football, please stop telling me that he's from Oakland like that's me. He's going to run for 5 yards a carry.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have a lot of passion for Detroit. That don't mean I'm going to average 20 for the Pistons.
Nope. There's this. We love power couples. If there's a power couple story, we're going to discuss it here on Jalen and Jacoby. I would say the biggest power couple in the land, maybe or top two. I'm putting Michelle and Barry in there. Jay-Z and Beyonce are purchasing a Beverly Hills mansion for $120 million.
That's a lot of money.
Jalen Rose, that is too much money to spend on a house. Do you agree with me?
This is what you call a power couple that are both moguls hiding the money under the mattress.
Ooh, explain.
That's exactly what it is. When you have that type of bread, where do you park it? They're going to park it in real estate.
See, that's why I like doing the show with you. It's nice to have a rich guy around that can translate regular people's problems into rich people problems. Yeah. So essentially, they've got money lying around. They put it in real estate. It becomes better for taxes. And it's a better investment. You know they're going to sell it for $180 million in like 4 years. But it feels to me that if you like a $12 million home seems like a fine place to live. And if you could buy 10, $12 million homes and then put some of your people in them, can't you just hide the money that way?
More maintenance. More homes, more bills, taxes, insurances, cable, lights, gas, and you know what else? Did you say have people do what in them?
Park people in them, you know.
Oh, man, you ever tried to collect rent from friends or family?
No, I don't have these kind of problems. I don't hide my money in real estate mattresses. I go to the ATM and get $20. That's what I do. Yep. We all talk about the big three. You know, I'm very excited about the big three. It's going to air on Fox. Some of the people that work at our company are involved in it. And there's also this. Remember the Champions Basketball League? It's a 5-on-5 league, kind of like the big three. People that just came out of the NBA, give them a chance to play, showcase their skills. Well, they haven't been spoken about as much, so they came out with a press release. They just announced that none other than the Dogfather, Snoop Dogg, is going to be the celebrity commissioner of the Champions Basketball League. My question for you. What do you think the medicinal policy will be in the Champions Basketball League?
It's mandatory to blow on game day.
It's mandatory. They do test, but they don't let you play if you have a negative. That's how it's going to work. They're like, I'm sorry, you can't play today. You violated our policy. You violated our drug policy. You tested negative. You got to come out of the Champions League. I'm so sorry.
It shows, too, and I appreciate this, from two OGs, two legends in the game, two people I respect like Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube, it continues to show the power of rap music and how it's evolved from something you just did with a microphone to a branding persona that now companies understand they need to attach themselves to hip-hop in order to have flavor and be cool. I just love it.
This is one of those days where we're preempted on radio by a playoff game. But what do we say we do on this show, Jalen Rose?
Give the people what they want.
So you know we're going to get into the booth and give the podcast listeners what they want. We love our everyday podcast listeners, which that's what motivates us to get in the booth. We finished the television show version, so we record this exclusively for our podcast listeners. Don't forget, we're coming to Detroit, Rock City, May 8th. SeatGeek.com, SeatGeek app, search Jalen Jacoby, buy some tickets. Join us. We'll be off tomorrow, and we'll be back on Friday. Don't forget, stay subscribed to Jalen Jacoby. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to give the people what they want. We're going to open up our Twitter feed and our voicemail line. Of course, this is Woman Crush Wednesday, where we celebrate the more responsible, kinder, important, and beautiful gender, the ladies in our life. Yep. So we're going to start with a female voicemail.
Hey, what's up, Jalen Jacoby? This is Missy calling from San Jose, California. Big Warrior fan here. But anyways, my first question is for Jalen. Walis titing, walis tabot. You know, I'm Filipino, so I'm just curious on where you learned that term. And my other question was for Jacoby. I just want to know, since you have twins, do you ever get, or how do you sleep? Because I have an 8-month-old son, and, you know, sleep is rare. Thanks. Keep doing what you're doing. Bye.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate the love. Always humbled by the people that take time out of their day to join our fine program. In the trunk, even though we've chosen to sell out. A couple of things. I started using the Walis broom because a former producer on NBA Countdown, a friend of mine named Alvin, is Filipino. Yep. And I promised him I would take him to meet Manny Pacquiao, which I did. And he promised me he would teach me about what a broom meant in their culture so that I can now use it on the air.
That does not seem like a fair deal. I'm going to say he got the better end of that deal. He got the better end of that deal. You could have Googled that. But anyway, continue.
And no, seriously, out of respect to so many Filipino people I get a chance to meet in my travels and my endeavors, and Alvin and Manny Pacquiao, I wanted to pay homage by using a Walis broom or a tambo or a ting. When people get swept out of the playoffs, like we saw in the first round by the Indiana Pacers, I had to bring them out. And when we go back on the air for the Portland Trail Blazers, the exact same thing is going to take place.
Yep. Big shout to Missy and Arjun and Rafe.
Shout out.
To answer her question for me is, so her daughter or son is 8 months old. It's right about that time you got to start training them. And it's right around 8 months, you got to get them to sleep through the night. I know it feels early. I know they wake up twice now, but you have to remember this. This is one of my parenting sayings. Crying is tiring. Remember that. When they're in that room by themselves just crying and screaming, they're getting more and more tired with every scream, and eventually the screaming stops. Guess what? They didn't die. They're asleep. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hey, guys, it's Kaylee with a K from Ohio. Jalen, would you rather have a Fat Five statue outside of Michigan with Chris Webber calling a timeout, or would you rather have your banners back? All right, bye, guys.
Thank you for the love. Appreciate the call. Always appreciate people who pay homage to my Fab Five brothers, Juwan Howard, Ray Jackson, Chris Webber, and Jimmy King. I would love for us to have banners hanging at Chrysler Arena, but I'd much rather us have statue.
But not a statue
No
of
doubt
Chris Webber.
about
She
it.
said a statue of Chris Webber calling the timeout. Like, that's not the statue it's going to be. It's going to be the five of you guys walking off the floor. You know the shot. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for the call, Kaylee. We're going to our tweets now. Remember, at Jalen Jacoby is our feed. The first question is, of course, for you, our senior statue analyst. When LeBron gets his statue in Cleveland, will it be young LeBron, headband and all, or the old LeBron who brought a title to Cleveland?
It got to be young LeBron with a headband, because this older guy needs a couple of days in between games to touch that hairline up.
No, here's what it'll be. It'll be old LeBron that won the championship, but he's going to make a phone call to the sculptor and be like, just give me my hairline, all right? Just give me, it's going to be there forever. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. Just give me a perfect hairline. But it's going to be arms outstretched, just like that big, banner was outside in Cleveland. That'll be the statue.
I can guarantee you one thing. LeBron James' statue is going to have the most crisp hairline in the history of life.
Remember where you heard it first. I can't wait until it happens. It's going to be in 10 years. We're still going to have this stupid show, and we're going to bring that audio back. All right, next is from Chance the Bazemore. If Barkley were a cheeseburger, would they call him Chuck, Sirloin, the ground round of rebound? Has to be the ground round of rebound. It just makes too much sense. That's perfect. So let's move on to Rafi Asadi.
Round mound of rebound.
Yeah, done. What type of player does Oklahoma City need to get better and favor Russell Westbrook's style?
Somebody that was in this year's All-Star game, that contractual obligations are going to end within the next couple of years. You're going to hear so many names getting thrown around.
Yep.
Paul George is going to come to mind for a lot of people if he doesn't stay in Indiana. It's somebody that I think about right off top. But, of course, if it was up to me, he wouldn't leave Larry. He wouldn't leave Indy. You can't leave St. Elmo's. You can't leave Capitol Grill. You can't leave Naptown.
You know, one thing I love about this show is the interactivity, which is why we do segments like this just for our podcast. And sometimes Jalen says, I have a question for the people, and you throw it out there. And you know what? No one ever really directly answers the question except for our next caller on Woman Crush Wednesday.
What up, Jalen and Jacoby? This is Marcella calling from Los Angeles, California. Shout out to my boy Addison for getting me on your podcast. I just want to make a comment about the whole Carmelo and Lala controversy. I know y'all had said that you wanted to know a woman's opinion about whether or not his alleged mistress knew he was married or whatnot, and I definitely think she had to know. And I also have a question for you guys. Do you think that Lala should stick by her man, even though he might have cheated on her and impregnated another woman? Is that cool? Yes or no? Thanks, Jalen, Jacoby. Keep giving the people what they want.
I really appreciate you responding to Jalen's question. I'm going to respond to your question by saying I don't have enough details. You know what I mean? Like, I know very, very little. I would say, like, let's say there was 100% of knowledge about Melo and Lala's relationship. I've probably got 0.005% of that. So it's hard for me to really make a judgment call on whether or not they should stay together because I don't know anything about it.
I want to introduce a term that people may or may not use properly. It's called pillow talk. It's always hard to gauge and or judge what somebody else can do, should do in their relationship because you don't know 100% of the things one has put the other through. Mm-hmm. So it's virtually impossible to say. But from the outside looking in, I'm fans of both individuals. I would hope that they can find a way to work it out. Yeah. We shall see.
All Jalen cares about is it doesn't affect power. That's all you care about. You're just like, look, as long as it doesn't affect power, I don't want the shoot schedule to get messed up. I don't want the whole series to get pushed back. If power's unaffected, I hope everyone else is happy. Next, we got a tweet from Evan. He's asking, what are you planning on doing in Detroit besides the live show? Prepare, research, study, get our rundown together, just be locked in our hotel rooms in a bunker, just preparing for the show. No champagne and campaigning, all serious, all preparation, because that is how serious we take it when we put on a live show. Right, Jalen?
Yep. I'm glad you said what you're going to be doing. I'm going to be spending time with family and friends.
You're the best. Let's listen to the next female voicemail on Woman Crush Wednesday.
What up, Joe? Melissa here, rapping the men's day, screaming, go green. That was for Jalen. My boyfriend put me on your show, and I absolutely love it. I listen to the podcast every morning to start my day at work. One of our favorite segments is soft move or boss move. So here's the question. My boyfriend and I were dating for 2 years, and then we broken up for a year, and during that time, he started dating other people, I started dating other people. So I started dating this guy. I think they kind of knew each other, but it wasn't like they were friends. So it didn't work out in the end. So my boyfriend came back with an impeccable game, and he won my heart back over. Best decision I've made to go back to my boyfriend. So I recently ran into the old guy at a happy hour, and he was going on and on about my boyfriend, basically hating, throwing salt on his game, claiming incidents that happened 2 years ago. Now, fellas, was that a song?
This is great. I mean, I could have listened to that for another hour and a half. It cut off. I think there might be a limit to how long the message. We need to change that because that should just be the entire rest of the show. Can we get her? I need to hear the rest of that. But I think what she was getting to, soft move or boss move, the dude that she used to date that's not her current boyfriend, basically slandering her current boyfriend and snitching about previous incidents outside the statute of limitations.
A couple of things. It's a soft move for the ex to be hating on the person that's current, especially to her because she's been in relationships with both of them. Mm-hmm. Which should tell the ex she's actually with the person that she wants to be with. And usually what happens, yes, you guys were together for 2 years. For whatever reason, you decided to part ways. That year that you were apart, that was a year of growth for both of you guys. Because you know what else? When you get thrown back into that ocean called being single, it's real out here in these streets. And so you start dating, getting numbers, trying to get to know people. People lie. You meet people. Hey, how you doing? Everything's great. And then you talk to him a few more times. You didn't know he was married. You didn't know that he was living with somebody. You didn't know that he was talking to you and 5 other people. And then you're like, you know what? I need to go back to the person that I actually know truly cared about me. Mm-hmm. And that's what both of them ended up doing. So now that you're back together, I have a word of advice to you because he put you onto our podcast.
I love it. I love it. Give it to me. I know what you're going to say. I know you so well. Go.
Never, ever, 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 ever allow anyone to talk negative about your man to you.
Yep. Or
never allow it.
Or your girl. Or your girl. Exactly. Nope. And
even if they're right.
Let me say this. Not too much is going to come from conversations about that year that you were apart. You know what I mean? I'm not saying never speak about it, but just like, don't ask too many questions that you don't want the answers to. Because I can see, in a fight or after a couple drinks, you start asking questions about that period of time and how you knew this person, or, you lived in there and what were you doing on that side of town. Like, don't do too much investigative reporting about that year. Stay in the now. Thank you so much for that call.
Both of our female callers today. I'm encouraging them to call back more.
Yep. Let's listen to another then on Woman Crush Wednesday.
Jalen Jacoby, what up, doe? This is Juliana. I'm calling from the Bay Area. Huge fan of this fine program. Anyway, my older sister is getting married tomorrow, and I have to give a speech at the reception. Have either of you ever given a wedding speech? What advice do you have for me? All right, keep giving the people what they want.
Surprisingly, this may shock a lot of people. I've only been to 2 weddings in my life.
What? What?
Yes.
That's not true.
Yes, my older brother Bill, when he got married, I was in high school because, true story, he had I think it was a white Lincoln, and he and his wife was going on a honeymoon. I was in high school. They allowed me to keep the car that night, that they were going to be gone, and I was supposed to return it the next morning. And I'll never forget, I was in the wrong neighborhood trying to show it off to a young lady, and I got lost. And I almost got robbed that night, and some people spared me. I appreciate y'all. That's one. 2, Howard Isley, who now coaches with the New York Knicks. I played with him in high school. He played a long time in the NBA. Those are the only 2 weddings I've ever gone to.
I want to know about these people that spared you. Yeah. Like, how did that go down?
In the wrong place at the wrong time in Detroit on some number streets.
Let me just tell you
this. And they were like, you know what? We know who you are. We know what you're driving. You got like 5 seconds.
One thing Jalen Rose has done in his entire life, I know this, just talked his way out of stuff. You know what I mean? Talk your way into and talk your way out of a lot of stuff. Well, I want to give a special shout-out to those people that let you drive around in that Lincoln. Because there would be no Jalen Jacoby if they weren't so kind and gracious and merciful that one evening while you were driving that Lincoln. All right, we got a couple more tweets. Here we are. And this is from Matthias, and I believe it is pegged to Patrick Beverley's recent incident in Oklahoma. Jalen, have you as a player ever felt uncomfortable in terms of security during games or living at hotels on away trips?
Not at all, because a lot of that has to do with your background and where you started playing. I grew up playing in the Detroit Public School League, and we didn't take showers after the game. And there were times, depending on who you were playing, if the crowd got upset at you, they'll tip over your bus. So you're trying to get out of there as fast as possible. So being in those type of environments, once I got to college, I'm like, this is easy. They ain't going to do nothing. Yeah. I ain't going to see them at the park. I ain't going to see them at Belle Isle. Like, it's all good.
You never felt like too many people knew what hotel you guys were in. The lobby was crazy. There's nothing like that. It was just all regular living at these hotels?
One of the safest places to be is actually a hotel.
I bet.
Because so many different cameras and levels of security. You think you're just pulling up at the hotel and the guy's helping you with your bag? He's just valet watching. Yep. Then you take a couple more steps, you walk past the front desk, they're looking. There are cameras everywhere. You have to get on the elevator. Now you can't do something and run out, and then the door's locked. So it's like, there's multiple different levels of security that allow you to be safe. And plus the team has security, and the hotel heightens its security when they know that a professional team is coming to town.
We love Women Crush Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, please call 985-80-JALEN. Leave us voicemails. One of our favorite parts of the show. We got a couple more female voicemails for Women Crush Wednesday. Let's go.
Hi, Jalen and Jacoby. It's Jasmine from Atlanta. Question for actually both of you guys. I know we've discussed over and over how great Russell Westbrook's season has been this year, but has his fourth quarter shot selection, horrible shot making, going 4 of 18, does that not put a damper on how great of a season? Not taken away from him, but is it not a concern? Hey, thanks. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for the call, Jasmine. Jalen, I'm going to start with this one with a little story. A term I learned in business school, which I'm probably going to use wrong. I went to business school. I didn't pay that much attention. Not much of it soaked in. You know what I mean? Obviously. But there was this thing called opportunity cost, right? Where it's like, if I do A, what does that stop me from doing? Like, because I'm going to go to Detroit on Tuesday, does that mean I'm not, is there a better opportunity for me? Again, I told you I'd do a bad job explaining this. But when you talk about his bad shot selections, you say, okay, so if Russell Westbrook doesn't shoot, who does shoot? Because I would rather have Russell Westbrook take a bad shot than Robertson take a good shot. And that's kind of the calculation that he goes, and man, I need to do a better job explaining what opportunity cost is next time I do it.
I'll give people something to watch for, and this really changed in the game the last 10 or 15 years. Now you can do something called play zone. And notice multiple times when Russell Westbrook has the ball on the top of the floor, for example, you're going to see two Houston Rocket defenders at the free throw line extended, which we call the elbows, and you're going to see the other two defenders on the box. There's really nowhere to drive. If you've ever played basketball, try to get the ball at the top of the key and just drive down the middle of a 2-3 zone or a 1-2-2 zone. It's virtually impossible. Now when he gets the ball on the wing, I want you to pay attention to something that's really frustrating. Oh, man, I hate this. I hate this as much as when people used to front me because I couldn't jump. I'm like, man, they front me. I can't go catch a lob. Is that when he has the ball on the wing, his man is guarding him, the same person is on the elbow, and there's another guy on the box. And his man is all the way on the other side of the court. There's nowhere to really go. So at that point, it's exactly what Jacoby said. You're playing the odds, you're playing the percentages, and you continue to try to be aggressive.
Yep. One more female voicemail, Women Crush Wednesday. Thank all of you for calling so much.
What up, though, Jalen and Jacoby? Hey, Jay, this question's for you. This is Angela from Houston. I know I'm speaking for many of your OG listeners when I say that we need you to revive story time with Jalen Rose. How'd you feel watching your boy Steven Jackson pulling Eddie Kane on you this past Sunday on NBA Countdown? I think it's time for you to reclaim your throne. Keep getting those checks.
Thanks for the love. Big shout, H-Town. Congratulations on your team advancing in the playoffs. Stack Jackets family, and I really like the We Believe piece that we chronicled the Golden State Warriors actually upsetting the Dallas Mavs in the first round. Here's one thing I learned about doing this program. There are little things that happen throughout the industry while you probably didn't invent them. You see people start to sprinkle them, and you take small victories that you're creative.
That's a win. It's a win for us. People always point out, if someone points out that someone else is doing something that we did or something like something that we did, I don't get mad about it. I get happy about it. That's a win for us.
So like now when I'm watching television and I see different networks and different television shows playing music, going in and out of commercials, especially when it's hip-hop commercials, we laugh not only on this show, but on Countdowns because that was something that we owned years ago. There's no accident when you see Draymond Green warming up. The song is called They Call Me D-Nice. It's no accident when the Indiana Pacers get swept. We're playing To the End of the Road. It's no accident when you're watching programs. There are not only pictures on the wall like we have in our studio, but they're personalized to the individuals whose shows they are. So we take them as wins. And we also now try to say, how can we be more creative to keep giving the people what they want? So story time will be coming back. I actually have shot 1 or 2 in the can. I've been waiting for 2 years to see them. We shall see.
Thank you so much for the calls, not just Angela, but all of our female listeners. We love y'all, and especially all of our podcast, our everyday listeners. We do this exclusively for you. We will not have a show tomorrow. Jalen Rose really wants to say something. Go.
And also, too, I wouldn't mind if we kind of scrapped those 2 in the can because I think they was like 35 pounds ago. So if y'all can erase those, that'll be fine, too.
That's what you raised your hand. You really wanted to get in? A personal message to the staff? That's what you wanted? Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back on Friday with a brand new pod to step to.